Welcome back here to another episode of the Challenge Insiders. Today we're doing a very special episode because we are going to be selecting our dream teams here on the Challenge All-Stars 2. Chantele is our reigning champion. She won last year with Yes Duffy as her winner pick, but we are going to change things up a little bit here. We've brought Drew into this operation, so he's going to bring a little bit of savviness to how we select things here today. And Drew, if you want to go through, myself and Chantele haven't had much of an opportunity, I know, to have an input on the point system, but we trust you've got something good cooking up there for us. So if you want to explain what you've sort of come up with up until this point, and then we can have a bit of a discussion. If there's anything, Chantele, that you feel like isn't above board, I think we're pretty easy, but it'll be interesting to hear what you have sort of brought to the table.
Yeah, so I had a great time drafting with both of you in the Challenge 37 Spies, Lies, and Allies draft. However, we've gotten to the point where I have so many players still left, or whenever this is coming out, I have so many players still left, yet I mean, come on. Do we really think that Josh and Bettina was really going to win when I picked them so late in the draft? So I feel like I have so many players that has so much potential for getting points, yet I may not be getting all those points despite having 9 players. So I want to add some point totals to give maybe those later rounds a little bit more help, of those later picks, a little bit more of a gusto, despite maybe them not being the most athletic or anything like that. So, when I play fantasy football, I love points per reception, which is whenever somebody catches the football, they'll get a point just for catching the ball. So I have this going for PPC, points per confessional. It's going to get a lot, but maybe it gives those players who are confessional gold like Tech and I believe Jasmine a little bit of a leg up and incentive to pick them earlier.
Who's that? Just let me just put that number 1 and number 2 is that? Sorry for interrupting your flow there. Yeah, so points per confessional.
Yeah, so we're gonna get 1 point per confessional. Daily challenge win will be 5 points. I thought that was gonna be pretty good. Elimination win is gonna be 3 points. Kissing and makeouts, I'm not expecting too many of those happening within All Stars, but if there is, 2 points per kiss and makeout. Argument and drama, 2 points. DQ is -2 points. So be careful, because that first challenge in season 1 was a killer. If we do that one, finals, making the finals is 10 points, and winning is a total of 15 points. So just because you pick the winner, yes, you might have a good leg up, but it doesn't automatically give you the win here. Also, confessionals, I want to be clear, just right off the bat. A confessional, you have to have somebody else coming in the middle of a confessional to get like points. It's not like you're doing a confessional, somebody's in the elimination, they have a confessional about the elimination, and then it just cuts right back to them. That's not counting as like 2 points. Somebody else has to be coming up and mess with the flow of the confessional. Gotcha. So yeah, that's my PowerPoint presentation on points.
Anything there for medical evacuations, or if somebody gets injured?
DQ, I guess.
Yeah, I guess it can fall into that DQ.
Yeah, we can make medical disqualifications if somebody gets pulled from the game. -2 points.
Minus. Get out of here.
Yeah. Yeah, I've got to. Well, anyways, I'll stay quiet. I don't want to be doing anything before we go into this, because I've been on a goose egg here for more than I'm this bad at drafting, right? Because I've been doing the drafting with Chantele, which I lost. I did the drafting in Spies, Lies, and Allies, and I've just lost Corey this week, which we'll get into in the other podcast. He was my number 1 guy pick. And I've done horrible in both international Survivor seasons this year as well. So I feel like I'm just like the ultimate loser when it comes to these draft picks. I still enjoy them, but not the best at them. Yeah, so let's hope I can turn it around.
I've definitely learned to draft for points. So having the point system is going to be really helpful for all of us to be able to have a little bit of a different strategy getting in there and choosing our players. It's not all about the big guy that's going to like win the final. It's like, well, is he going to get there necessarily? Is he going to be funny and have some confessionals just to get some points along the way? Who's going to last the longest are going to be things that I'm going to be looking at. Are they going to be the GOAT dragged to the end because everybody's going to think they can beat them and they're funny? Maybe I'll keep them and pick them a little bit earlier. So it allows us to have a little bit more of a strategy when we go in for these players instead of just like the big dogs first.
Definitely. Well, what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring up the wheel here,
Oh,
which
do the
for those who've
wheel.
been with us for a while would know I always bring up the wheel. I love the wheel. So we're going to do a random spin to see who's going to go first. And we're going to continue to stick to our normal snake draft format that we've been doing. We'll go men first, then women this time. Actually, no, we did men first last time. I think let's go women first and then men this time because we did it the other way around for Challenge 37. So we'll do the spin and have a look.
Alternating though,
And then
right?
also, sorry,
Alternating though, right? Like we'll go all the way
alternating,
through.
yes.
You said women first, and then men, and then women, and men. Kind of that. Okay.
Yeah, so first pick would be a woman, second pick would be a woman, third pick would be a woman. Whoever did the third pick as a woman would then get the first pick as a man, which would be the fourth pick. So we'll go up and down in that sense. So if you're lucky enough to be the first person to pick a woman, you're going to be the third person to pick a man, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so I'll do the spin. Whoever wins this, they will choose the order that we're going in here. So let's see who's the lucky person. I think Chantele normally. I think was it you last time?
Yes.
Oh,
lucky duckling.
Okay. I did not expect. This is very.
It's gonna be nice.
Yeah, very unexpected for me to actually win one of these spins because I've never ever done that. But I now have the opportunity to choose who's going in what order. I am going to give Chantele the first woman. I'm going to give Drew the second. I'll go third in this draft pick. So Chantele, you're going to be up first. Yeah. Because I know Chantele's going for number one guy, so I can't give her that, not this season.
Oh boy, I wasn't really thinking this is the way that things are gonna go down. Okay, hold on. Oh boy, oh my gosh, I actually don't know what I'm gonna do. I had my thoughts, and then now I'm changing my mind.
Especially now that there's a point system as well in here, it does change things up because I've got an order as well that I may have to change one or two things. And there's a lot of unknowns for me coming into this season. For anybody watching this, I'm the newbie when it comes to the challenge. Like I've watched since Fresh Meats 2, so a lot of these people are prior to Fresh Meats 2, but I have seen a little bit, maybe one or two seasons prior to that as well, but I'll keep that a secret for now.
All right, so no surprise who I'm going to go with first. She is somebody that I really enjoyed as a player back in the day. She's won at least one or two. I think 2 wins. I think she's won both times she made it to a final. But this was a long time ago. But the fact that they were able to get her to come back, leave her family, and come back on this show, I think she'd be coming here to win. So my first pick and the number one girl pick on the table is Miss Jody. I take it. Give me Jody.
Good pick. She's the person that I was kind of alluding to. I saw the 2 Netflix seasons that she was in, and both of those seasons she was really impressive. I actually thought, like, after watching it, I went to go and check out the challenge wiki to find out how many seasons did she play, how big of a legend did she become, because she looked so dominant, and then found out she never got back. And I've heard that she was never invited back after her last season that she played in, is what I heard from one of the interviews she did.
I could be wrong, but I think that she just wanted to focus more towards church, and like she went to like Christian school and college and stuff like that, and so it was always a conflict timing wise, if I'm not mistaken, and some like morality wise, there's some choices that she was choosing not to do and wanting to be on the show and maybe having some stipulations. So as far as I know, that she was always asked, but she declined because it wasn't in alignment with what she was doing in her life at that time. But I could be wrong. Drew, you might know more stats than I do.
I will say that it is a very solid pick. Seeing Jody coming on to do this season, I was like, wow, she looks even in better shape than she was back in the day. I just recently watched The Duel recently, and yeah, she was absolutely dominant during that season, and I can only expect her to be more dominant, and she's all over that trailer. So that is a very strong pick for your first pick.
And from memory, she was very good friends with Derek back in the day as well, who's on this season. And I think she also may have played at the same time as Brad, who's back this season as well. Around that same time, they've got some sort of
Oh
former.
yeah, maybe.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure because I watched those seasons pretty recently. I'm pretty sure they were on some of those same seasons. So she has got some connections, is what I'm trying to get at. It's not like she knows absolutely no one coming into this season. All right.
Yeah, they were on the
Drew.
duel together. They made the finals together on the duel.
Yep.
So yeah. All right. So I will say that is one of my top 2 picks off the board. I'm gonna go with a known entity, a known player, an established player, a player that we saw in season 1 of All Stars, and I recently watched her endurance season 1 where she absolutely demolished. And I'm gonna go with Janae. I'm worried because she did make it to the finals and got 3rd place, and coming in to do the second All-Star season right afterwards, I'm worried that maybe it'll have a target on her back. But I'm going to trust in Janae having a ton of numbers, being able to wiggle her way through the game and get far. And I expect her, along with Derek, Jasmine, and having a real world Cancun alliance with each other, that possibly they can go far together in the game. So I'm going to pick Janae.
Good, very, very good pick. I mean, she was my number 1 pick coming into this season, with Jody being my number 2. So both of those picks are out of the equation now. And I knew that there was a risk that was going to happen the way I set this up. And, for me, Janae really impressed me last season. She was one of my picks last season. I don't know if you can remember that, Chantele, or not, but I was very impressed by her throughout the season because she came into it, I didn't feel like, in the best shape she's ever been in, and just the heart that she had throughout that season and competing and constantly showing that she's someone that was worthy of getting to the end there that season, doing well in every single daily, not letting a team down, very solid when it comes to confessionals as well, does a lot of that, a lot of the strategy. I felt like she was driving. She doesn't have Jemme with her this season, who was a very close ally last season, but I think she'll be okay without that, because she's also got some other people that played in that first season with her that is coming back this season as well. So I do think it's another very solid pick here. I'm liking it. What are you thinking, Chantele, of Janae?
She wasn't my number 1 pick, but like she was up there. Like definitely, I would have considered taking her if I had to as my number 2 pick. I love the fact that she did so well her first season, and she just had come off of having a baby less than like a year ago. So now she's had an opportunity. It seems like she's putting some work into getting in more shape. And if she's coming back, she's going to want to win. I think that she had the taste of victory, taste of getting to the end, taste of that final, taste of the money, that she is going to put in that work to get it done. I worry for her having Jasmine in the season with her, because Jasmine is a little bit of a loose cannon, a little bit of a firecracker. It's potential that if they come across as a tight duo and Jasmine's kind of popping off, that Janae likes to fly behind, just hide, stay out of the hot seat. She wants to just kind of skate to the end. And Jasmine would make her be right in the action. So I'm worried that she might have her spot kind of blown up just because Jasmine is quite loud and vocal. But power numbers. So the fact that she has her and Derek, I think, will be good for her. Also, with some of the people like Darrell, Katie, anybody that was on season 1 with her, I think that they'll just automatically have a certain little pact to keep each other safe and together. It's naturally what's going to happen, I would assume. So I think it's a great pick. I think she's going to do really well. She knows what her faults were for the season before. So I would imagine she would learn how to put together a bike or whatever she wasn't great at. She will work on it in the off time. So
I mean, yeah, carnival stuff, that she wasn't prepared for last season. I do think it's a solid pick, and you're right. I do think that there is going to be an element of some of those guys looking out for each other. So it should be no surprise here who my first pick is going to be. It's going to be Kendall taking her off the board. I think that with Kendall, she is someone that last season proved herself to be again, she was very paranoid at certain stages, and Darrell had to keep her sort of in line a few times where people were getting a bit annoyed with her, and she was sticking to herself, being a bit of a loner. But I think coming into this season, she's now had a full season with people that have played this game. She's potentially built a little bit of connections there that's going to keep her safe early in the game. And I think she proved that you don't want to see her in eliminations. She's really good in the eliminations. She did lose an elimination with exactly with no, it wasn't. It was Nehemiah, I believe it was, right? Nehemiah against Big Easy, I think they went up against. Then they had to do the climb, and it was a shock loss for me because I lost. Sorry, yeah, because I lost Nehemiah that season, and I didn't see it coming. I don't know how they lost that. They were the power team in there. So, but again, like I said, Kendall for me is someone that I think has got all of the goods. If she makes it to a final, she's going to win. I do think she's going to get confessionals. I do think she's going to be in some drama at some point. So I think it's a solid pick. Plus, she's won before, so I like having champions in my team.
I like Kendall. The one thing that worries me about Kendall is the fact that people don't seem to be scared to throw her in. They're not scared of making her mad. So she doesn't have that untouchable factor that some of these, women that go down, they're just like, oh, I don't want to go against them. And even though she comes out victorious more times than not, I don't think that anybody is scared of her. And so I would be worried that she would be thrown down multiple times, and that one of those times she might go home. So if she's able to evade elimination, I feel like she'll go down multiple times, but she'll come back and she'll get some points. And if she gets to the end, she definitely is a top contender to win. I'm just not sure if she'll be able to get to the end because people aren't that scared of her, even though they should be.
Kind of like the opposite of what we talked about with John A. Having numbers, Kendall really had Kellyanne behind her, and that was pretty much it besides Darrell. I think whoever watched season 1 has a lot of respect for her. And if you're a man, you want to be paired up with her. If this is going to be at some points a paired season, I don't know what this season looks like. I mean, the trailer made it look like it was like teams and pairs, and I don't know, it could be free agents or whatever, but she's a really strong competitor. She is someone that you would want to work with. I think to what Chantele is saying, because of her stature and how small she is, I think she doesn't have that intimidating factor. Granted, she won 2 of 3 eliminations last season, but I mean, this is my top 3 women picks off the board already. So we're going exactly how I have this set up in my notes. So I think Kendall is going to be a force to be reckoned with, and I have high hopes that she is going to make it far and to a finals, because she should have made it last season to a finals, in my opinion.
Yeah, I would have loved to have seen her and Kellyanne last season go at it, just to see who the top dog would have been there at the end running that final. I'm going to take someone off the board here that I don't think is going to be a surprise to anyone. Let's be honest, it's got to be Darrell, and that's the whole reason I wanted to go third here, because Darrell's a legend.
Darrell again.
Nah, you're not getting. I mean, you had CT and Darrell in our first couple of picks, and that's not happening this season. I'm having none of that, and I'm taking Darrell off now. Obviously, Darrell, I think, is coming back after just having lost his first final. So he's never made it to a final and not won. So I think he's going to be hungry. I think he's going to want to prove himself when he gets there, and his social game, his ability to go down and win eliminations if he does need to. I believe he's 6 wins and 3 losses on his elimination record, which is very hard to do when you go into eliminations. Most people tend to be around, if you're good at eliminations, you're 50% win rate, because you just don't know what's going to happen when you're down there. But he doesn't have many weaknesses when it comes to what he can bring to the table. He's got a little bit of smarts, he's got a little bit of brawn, he's got a little bit of politicking, everything really in one nicely put together package. Plus, I do think in between these all-stars and these legends, he does have that aura where people don't want to go against him, and he does have the respect of a lot of his peers as well. So I feel very comfortable having him. The only downside is that Darrell does go missing in the confessionals side of things early in a season, so I might lose out on some points there.
Well, Darrell is also really funny, and I think that they turn to him a lot of the times to narrate certain things. And I do feel like this particular season has a lot of good narrators, and so maybe in that regard he might kind of fall off. But I always love what Darrell has to say because he always makes me laugh. So I would assume that MTV and the producers and editors are like, "Oh, where's Darrell? Does he have something funny to say here?" So yeah, you'll definitely. I think you'll still get quite a few points confessional wise at Darrell. Obviously, I do think that he's great at pretty much everything. Like he's always top. Like in the top few men competing, he's usually one of the top. And we know that he can make it to the final. He just needed a little bit more gas in the tank to beat Yes, but he was pretty darn close. He also has made an appearance already on the current season's Aftermath, which makes me wonder if like they're trying to show him off a little bit to that crew so that they'll bring him over to All Stars and maybe he's going to be a predominant character for the season. So that I think bodes highly for them wanting to kind of showcase him quite a bit in this preseason. So obviously I love Darrell. I want to see Darrell win another one. I think that he knows what it takes to do it. And yeah, I think I can see him getting there. So yeah, great pick. He would have been my number one pick. So if you wanted him, you got him.
Yep. Darrell was my number one pick on the men's side. You might lose track of him in the beginning of a season, but he always seems to make it far to where he's the best one in the confessionals, and he'll start showing up in more and more confessionals. The longer the season goes on, more people start dropping off. So you can always count on Darrell having something great to say in the confessionals. I can't add too much more than what you guys have already said. It's a great pick.
All right. Well, we're back to you now, Drew, with your first man pick, I should say. Who is that going to be?
Okay, I'm gonna let everybody know. I'm already a little tilted on this side because after Darrell, it kind of gets a little hazy. I have phases on the men's side. I have different levels, and at certain points, it just starts getting hazy a little bit. I'm having, I have somebody in number 2 spot, and I should probably go for him in my number 2 spot or even my number 3 spot, but I'm gonna dip down into my number 5 spot because I think it's just recency bias because I watched The Duel. I watched The Duel 2 recently, and he did such a good job. And he was on a season of the challenge very recently in season 32. And I'm going to go with Brad. He has a fantastic wilderness beard. I'm going to go with Brad. He looks thick. He looks chiseled. I think he's coming in ready to fight it out and try to get very far into the season. He is linking up with Jody early on or during the season at some point because in the trailer he's linking up with Jody. I think he could do some really good stuff. I'm not a huge Brad fan, but he did play well in those 2 seasons that I just recently watched. And yeah, he just looks jacked. He looks really, really good.
He was in my top 5 as well. So I don't think it's a bad pick. I do agree that, him coming back, the only downside that I have for him is I think the only season he won was, if I remember correctly, was a team season. Was it Battle of the Seasons that he won? Well, be on the wiki, wouldn't it?
Cutthroat.
Cutthroat. There we go. So, and he, for me, always came across as a bit of a meathead, a little bit of a hothead as well. Like in some of those seasons, I know obviously the history. One of the famous clips between him and Darrell, with Darrell putting him in his place. So
that looks like it hurt.
Yeah, and I saw a lot of seasons of him sort of towards the later stages of his challenge career, should I say. I've never been a biggest fan of him, but I do agree with you. He does look in shape. He's run finals before. Again, he's got that 50% record when it comes to eliminations, so 6 out of 12 elimination wins. He's not going to be afraid to go or get butterflies in his stomach when he goes down there into the arena and sort of having to fight for his life in the game, if it does come down to that. But I also think that he's got enough good connections now. Like you've mentioned, Jody's on the season. He does know Derek pretty well. I do think him and Darrell are actually in a good place, even though they've had that altercation way back. They're obviously a lot more grown up now and have moved past whatever went on back then. And he's not, you would hope, the same person he was in his 20s when he's like 40. You'd hope he's a bit more mature. But I do think he's not a bad underdog pick. But I think you've left some good options on the table here for Chantele, and I am worried because Chantele's got 2 picks in a row coming up. But I guess one is a man and one's a female. But you do get the next one. So yeah, you might be all right. It might actually be a good strategy. Forget what I said. What am I talking about?
Well, I was surprised that you went to him so quickly because I thought that I didn't think that this was how it was going to go. I think it's a great pick. I do think that he's capable of getting to the end and winning. But if I remember correctly, he might not be that smart. And so he might like get himself in like kind of funny situations with like the whole politicking of the game. And so he might get outsmarted and get thrown down and get taken out. I can see that happening to Brad. But he's coming back to win. He's been having some altercations with his ex, Tori. And so I think that he wants to come and prove that he's a good father and be able to provide because he's, it's all about child support and all this stuff. And so I think that he's coming back to prove something, prove that he's valuable, prove that he's a good father, prove that he can make some money and bring it home to his family. So I can see him really having a lot that he's playing for that's going to allow him to drive and get himself to the end. And we know he's capable of that. So it's a great pick. I thought that I was going to end up getting him because he's either my third or my fourth. So yeah, I think he's good. So for sure.
All right. Well, Chantele, we're going to stay with you here to pick your next man pick, or your first one, actually.
So kind of like you, Drew, I'm not like, there's some certain people that I was like, okay, I know I'm going to do him next for sure. And then now I'm like, well, maybe I'm not. I don't know. So I'm going to go with someone, maybe it might be a little bit different than who you'd think that I was going to go for, but I'm going to take Tyler. So Tyler is someone, he's won, I think, twice, if I'm not mistaken. I've seen him like go toe to toe with some of the best of them in their best shape. Like he's, been on seasons with Wes, with CT. He's played and won either with them or against them. Like he's done well with some of the big dogs of the challenge. And so I think if he's coming back here, he is like, I'm coming back to win for sure. I feel like, does he have a connection with Janelle? I can't remember right now. But I feel like
yes, he does. They were on the same Real World season.
Yes. So I think that as well is a good opportunity for them to like work together and strategize. He'll have some great confessionals because he always has a lot to say. He's not worried about getting into a fight. He's not worried about standing up for himself, and he's never really scared of anything. So I went with Tyler. It might be not who you think I would have taken, but I'm really happy to have him on my team.
Yeah. I didn't think you were going to pick him, but if you didn't pick him, he probably would have been one of my next picks. Like I've got one or two. Like I was expecting you to go somewhere else, and he would have then probably Drew to go somewhere else, and then I thought I was going to get Tyler. The thing with Tyler is that from his seasons that I watched, I did watch Cutthroat and Rivals that he played in, and it's both the seasons he won. So I saw him at his best. I remember him quite well because I know that he beat Johnny Bananas and both Derek Kaczynski in eliminations. So those are two decent competitors to go up against in eliminations. And he's got that record of 4 wins and 2 losses. So he's got a positive record. So he's not scared of anyone. He's going to be very vocal. He's going to have a lot of confessionals. Really strong pick. I like Tyler here as a pick, especially when it comes to those early seasons that I haven't watched it more than once like you guys have. For me to really remember him and for him to have made an impression on me in some of those seasons, if I remember him like that, that means he's probably one of the better players. And be quite surprised that I have been quite surprised that he hasn't come back and they haven't given him more shots in the actual challenge season. So this is going to be good for him to have an opportunity to come back and sort of prove what he's got.
Yeah, and you missed a big name on his elimination wins, and that is CT. He won against CT and Adam in T-Bone with Bananas on Rivals. I really like Tyler. He is so underrated. I feel he's a 2-time champ, but he doesn't get brought up enough, in my opinion. And he looks fantastic. Like, I've seen his Instagram photos. He is in this photo just yoked. So I think that's a very solid pick. I had him just underneath Brad. So he's in that still phase 1 of the men where it's like, I still have him high up on the list, but I just decided to put Brad just on top of him for some reason. But I mean, that's another connection that Tyler and Brad have, is the cutthroat connection to possibly get farther into the game. So I think it's a very good pick.
Yeah, I agree. Very, 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 very good pick here for your first man pick. And I see how you might have thought we wouldn't think you'd go there, but like, I mean, this guy, I just have a feeling. I've got a good feeling about that. He's going to get into the season, and he's gonna take some names, and he's going to get confessionals. That's for sure. So you're going to get points. All right, we're back to you, Chantele, here with your second lady pick.
I do feel personally though that like collectively the men seem stronger this season. I don't know if I'm just
Oh, there's a lot of
just
women
don't
I
know what I
don't
want to
know.
do.
There's a lot of women
Pardon?
I don't know this season. There's a lot of women I don't know this season. So when Drew says there's haziness, that's like 60 or 70% of the women for me this season, where I'm just gonna have to go off stats, and yeah, it's gonna be interesting.
I'm gonna go. I just mentioned her as well, with the Tyler connection. So I'm gonna go with Janelle. I think that she is going to work well with Tyler. Of course, she gets along. She can get along with people, but she's also not like she doesn't step back to anybody. She's like, I'll do it. I'll step up. I'll go and make this happen. Like she's not. She's another person that's not really afraid of anything. I think that the women might be scared of her potentially because if I remember correctly, she's taller. And tall women people tend to not want to go down against in most things. So if I remember correctly, she was a good at endurance type of challenges. Like she could run. She's won a challenge already before. She knows what it takes. And I think the fact that she has a partner in Tyler, at least here, is going to be really work wonders for her. And I think that she's going to do. I think she's going to do well. And her confessionals are pretty good. So, you know.
Over to you, Drew. This is one of the ones I don't have. I've got a little bit, but you probably could add more than I would on her.
So this is my fourth on my draft list. So we're going 1, 2, 3, 4 right now. Yeah, Janelle's a great pick. She is in shape. She's featured heavily in the trailer. She looks to be working with Darrell or paired up with Darrell in a daily challenge at one point.
Oh, wow.
She is the first winner from the Real World Key West, which also has Paula, Tyler, and Bananas on that season. So she was the first one to get a win from that cast. I think she's a solid pick, and I had her in the top 4. And yeah, if you weren't going to pick her, I was going to pick her next.
Yeah, she was my, even though I don't know much of her, this will give you an indication as to how little I do know of the women's side of things. She was my 5th pick. So I did have her. I wasn't completely off on where she was sitting at. And again, for me, it's coming down to the fact she's got a championship, 10 daily wins. From what I could read, she's got a very strong personality, so will pop off at people. Obviously, she would have changed quite a bit. She's 39 now. You'd assume, we did see it last season with Katie Cooley, where we thought she changed quite a lot, and then she sort of fell back into old habits being in the challenge. And they said there's this weird thing about having come back to the house with people that I used to spend time with in my 20s, and I just revert back to my 20-year-old self when I'm out there. So maybe that does happen for Janelle as well. But one of the things I did know, Drew, is that she was all over the trailer. And I think there might have even been a part of the trailer where she said, well, I got the win, so it's my decision today. So I do think she's going to get a daily win somewhere. I don't know which one it is, but I'm pretty sure they spoiled us on that. So you're in for some points there, Chantele, at least at a very minimum when it comes to that. We'll go over to Drew here with the next pick.
I'm curious.
Oh, and now do I keep on with my list to keep it like as perfect as possible? Because I don't think Chris is going to pick the next person after I pick this person. I'm going to go with another season 1 all-star contestant, and that is going to be Katie. I didn't see in the trailers that many daily challenges where there was heights over water, so I don't think I'm going to get many points DQ'd there. It looks like the trivia challenge is on a building, and she's doing it. She's doing the challenge, like she's strapped in, and she is not. So to me, I feel like I'm safe there. But yeah, I think she did a fantastic job last season. Sorry to see that she doesn't have Trishelle to yell at for one episode, so I don't get argument points there. But maybe there will be more arguments to have with Katie. So yeah, I wanted to pick her, and yeah, hopefully we get Katie from the Inferno just yelling. That'd be great.
Obviously, I love Katie. She was definitely going to be next up for me, or the one after. I think she's a great pick. I think that she had Trishelle in there, and I think that kind of distracted her from what she was doing and made her not want to fight as hard. I think without having her there, she might be able to be like, wait, I came back, so let me come back and win. I'm not going to quit challenges. I'm not going to nominate myself to go down. I'm not going to do any of that stuff. I'm coming back to win. So hopefully she sees that, oh yes, just made $500,000. I could have done that. If I wasn't just allowing myself to not fight that hard. So I think if she's coming back, either they gave her a really great payday to be like, hey, Katie, we just come back. and we'll give you like a nice big bonus if you come back for a few episodes, or she wants that money because like she didn't seem to care that much last season, so why is she coming back again? So she wants money.
Yeah.
So
I just want to say,
Katie.
Drew, screw you. Because you bloody picked my next pick, and basically you really read the situation here because she's one of the few people that I actually know something about, and I might have given it away. But you know, with Katie, I liked her last season. She was a bit of a firecracker. She's going to get confessionals. You know, you guys have pretty much said everything already. Maybe she had it in her contract that I would come back if there's no height over water challenges. That's like my stipulation. If you guys want me back, make that happen, and I'm there. Maybe that's what happened. So I'm happy to see her back, and I think that, like we said previously, just being part of that vet all-stars group, she's going to have some protection, and there's going to be people who are going to probably play with her, you'd assume, coming into this season here as well. So really good pick. So I'm a little bit in two minds now on who I'm going to go for, because the rest of the people that I've got on here, I do know, I think, one of them. But I'm not high on that person's chances of actually doing well this season. So it doesn't really help me all that much. And then I've got a person who I had at 6, and then the rest of them I had all as it could go anyway, you know, depending on how the draft go. But I think I'm going to move away from my 6th pick, who I thought I would go for here. Probably going to be kicking myself long term for this. And I'm going to go for someone here that I don't know anything about, but Chantele would sort of understand this logic because I used that last season quite a bit. She's 34 years old. She's 34 years old, Casey Cooper, quite young. So someone that potentially, if she's in the challenges and she does pretty decent, will have an opportunity to recover better than some of the older players that are out there. I think that is quite important when you've got a short season like this. You don't have much time to rest, and your body recuperates a little bit better at that age as well. And then one of the things I've noticed with her when I did a little bit of my stalking before coming onto this podcast is that she actually did put on there that she is an MTV Challenge alum. It's on her Instagram. She's proud to put that out there. She's put a little bit of content for the show out there. So I feel like she may have done better than what we think, or may have done pretty well. I don't know what her history is overall, but I do know she made a final in Fresh Meats. She's got an elimination record. No, I didn't.
Oh
I didn't. So you guys are going to tell me how wrong. You guys are going to tell me how wrong I am pretty soon. But her elimination record is 5 out of 8 wins. 5 wins out of 8 eliminations. That's pretty decent. Like, I mean, you got to give that to her. She's not going to be afraid of going down there. Now, tell me why I made. The one thing I will say, and this is something that again, that I saw on her bio, and I was thinking to myself, maybe this is a bit strange, is that she said she's not comfortable with people from different backgrounds. So I read written down there, is she like the Paris Hilton of the challenge, coming from a very privileged life and very posh and doesn't really fit in? So that was kind of interesting when I read that on the challenge fandom. And again, this is one of the players I don't know anything about. So I'm trusting that whoever put that on the wiki knows what they're talking about. So guys, how much trouble am I in here?
Trouble.
I wanted to say this is the exact position that I thought was going to happen when you said I'm just going to go off stats, and I was like, oh, is he going to pick Casey? Because
is that why you figured when you went out of frame? I was like, is he laughing right now? Sorry, I'm sorry.
I should have just changed it.
I'm sorry. I mean, okay, I think, yes, I totally understand your rationale by picking someone that's younger, that's going to be fit, able to recuperate. Her last name's Cooper, so hopefully she recuperates. But she's someone that likes to quit. If she doesn't want to do something, she won't do it. She doesn't necessarily want to push her to the extra limit, extra level. Like, she never goes a bit beyond. In Fresh Meat, the final, she was paired up with Wes. And Wes, it wasn't a really great showing for Wes. Like, it was pretty awful to her. But he just berated her for the entire final. Like,
really,
it's pretty uncomfortable. We can't really watch it now, and it would never fly now, like at all. But like back then, they just allowed him to like really be terrible to her. But she's not
redemption.
She's not a great competitor.
Okay.
She always quit. I just remember her, like, was it the duel? She just would quit everything, or she wouldn't jump from one side to the other side. and she just would stand there or cry. Like, so I know you like competitors, Chris. She doesn't compete really.
Yeah, in fresh meat, she didn't jump off the giant high board because she doesn't like heights. And then in the duel, she wouldn't jump back and forth. So she's done 4 challenge seasons: Fresh Meat, the Duel, Gauntlet 3, the Ruins, all of which I just rewatched recently. One-time finalist in Fresh Meat with Wes. In the Ruins, she made it very far into the season because the vets were trying to protect her because she was an anchor for the other team. She won all of her eliminations in the exile for Fresh Meat, and then every one-on-one competition she just couldn't win. I will say that I did appreciate her as like a confessional, someone in the confessionals. When rewatching it, I was like, wow, I actually do like Casey as just a character and a personality, but as a competitor, not so much. Not so
Can
much.
we, if anybody's listening to this and I do end up winning this season, can we just clip this bit where I was absolutely made fun of for choosing Casey, and then she comes back and redeems herself, please? No, but like, listen, I knew that there was a chance I was gonna, and I'm probably gonna, it's probably just gonna go downhill from here with the woman that's left on the table, because there is very few of them that I had a. If you guys pick the next person that I was thinking of, I'll let you guys know, and I'd just be like, damn, I should have just gone, because she was my 6th pick. And then I was like, maybe I should change it up to somebody that I didn't have in my top 6 somewhere. And I think I might have, yeah. Anyways, I'll tell you guys the reasoning for why I didn't go that way when you do pick them. Because I've got a feeling I'm going to lose this.
If I was just looking at stats, like I think that she'd be like, yeah, we'll take her for sure. She's made a final.
Five wins.
She's fit. I get it.
5 wins and 3 losses.
I don't remember what she won, though. What were the things that she won, Drew?
On what?
They might have it on here. Eliminations.
Oh, the eliminations were all exiles. Everybody that she went up against had never been into the exile, and they were just carrying all their heavy bags.
Right. Yeah. No,
Wes and Casey knew that they just needed to go. Like, everybody else tried to do the puzzles, and they were like, we could just make up the time if we just don't even do the puzzles and just outrun them and outmatch them. And so they were able to win all the way up to the end, especially when they like paired up with Kenny and Tina. Towards the end, they were able to make like a bond with each other to get each other to the finals. Crazy, I know, right? Fresh Meat, Kenny and Wes were working together, and then it quickly went all downhill after that.
all I'm going to say, guys, is you guys are in trouble for All Star Season 3, because guess what? I've got 3 weeks holiday booked for the end of the year, which means I'm going back and I'm watching all these bloody seasons because I'm not going to get caught out next time. All right, I think we're back to me for the next guy pick, and I'd be very surprised or shocked if Chantele doesn't think I'm going to go in this direction, but she could think of, there's 1 or 2 people here, but I had a number 1 and a number 2.
There's only one person I think you're going. Oh, actually, no, 1 or 2. Yeah, that's 1 or 2.
Yeah, there's 1 or 2. I think I'm like, I am very divided between which one of these 2 I'm going to go for, but I'm going to use my head this time. I'm not going to let Derek slip away, and I'll take Derek off the board. Again, with Derek, he's someone that has won 3 seasons. Very experienced. I know that he struggled with the social and political game in his younger days when he was playing the challenge at times, but I felt like last season he really upped his game in that regard. I mean, he wasn't even put down in the eliminations at all throughout the whole season, which was quite surprising. And I do think he's one of those people that do have a bit of an aura where people don't want to go up against him in the eliminations, because he is really that pit bull, that terrier when it comes to the challenge world, and people don't really want to go head to head with him and most things, unless it's maybe a puzzle or something. He does have a bit of weaknesses in that side, and I really felt bad for him missing out last season as well. At the end there, I felt he got a little bit of a raw deal getting eliminated just before the last part of the final, in what was like a mini purge, you could almost say, or whatever, knockout round before the final. So overall, again, 9 wins and 5 losses in eliminations. That's pound for pound one of the better records for win percentage, and he does have the experience of going down there and having to compete. So I like Derek. I've always been a fan of Derek. I do listen to his podcast quite a bit as well. So I do like Derek, and he is my next choice. What do you guys say about that? Have I redeemed myself slightly?
No surprise. Obviously, I think Derek is a great pick. I know the other person that you most likely were going to take. I think that he is somebody that knows how to get to the end. I don't know if he has like the juice still to be able to like figure out how to win it yet. In this new kind of era, in this new season, but I think that he is definitely really capable of getting to the end at least. So I think it's a great pick. I have to just my Amazon package is here. I will be right back though. Okay.
Go for it. Drew, have you seen Derek's training videos that he puts up on Instagram? Like, the guy trains like a madman. Like, he does ninja warrior training. He's constantly hanging off bars, doing muscle ups and jumping from one bar to the other. The guy's got a lot of athletic ability, even for someone that's age 38. I think that he probably can do what most 32-year-olds can do, still, or even 28-year-olds. Like, just he's still in great shape. I personally feel like having both Darrell and Derek, I didn't think there was going to be a situation where I would end up with both of them. They were my number 1 and 2 pick coming into this draft.
Yeah, I've seen some of those videos. I mean, I remember one of the videos was that he was doing something like pull-up wise, and then he got down on the ground, and then he was doing like walking on his hands up and down pyramids. And I was like, what are you doing? Like, I can't even do that, and I'm way younger than you at this point.
Yeah.
He's insane. I will say that I thought Chantele was going to pick him with her first man pick. Like, I thought he was going to be off the board and not even an idea. And if he would have snaked to me I don't know how he would have snaked to me, but if he would have, I would have gladly taken Derek. It was interesting though that he is such a fan favorite, and he is has a stronghold in the Challenge universe with his Challenge Mania podcast, and he wasn't featured as heavily as I thought. Like, I thought they were going to lean more into Derek on All-Star Season 1. So maybe now, because he is such a fan favorite, and it felt like he was costed the final, getting purged out in the first round, that maybe they'll lean into him a little bit more. The only worry I have is that he isn't featured much in the trailer. He's only has like one shot where he's like, and then he is yelling something, but I want to see more of him, because if the challenge is really trying to like drum up hype, I felt like they would do it with Derek, but we'll see.
Yeah, I agree. I feel like they're missing a massive opportunity, especially when it comes to the super fan type of community. I think everybody does, like you said, he does have a lot of popularity within the community, and he definitely can hype up the season quite a lot. He did a lot of work hyping up the previous All-Star season on his podcast, and constantly posting about it online, and doing a lot of social media type of things about it, live streams and all that kind of stuff. So I am surprised, but I also think that Derek's one of the people that I didn't see. Like, I think we see Darrell somewhere, but I didn't see much of Darrell in that either. I feel like with Darrell and Derek, they're just two of those people that you don't even need to reintroduce them to the fans, because everybody knows who those two are. And to be honest with you, like, he was my first pick last season for the men. So to have him here as my second, and the only reason he was because Darrell got taken away from me by Chantele. So I was very surprised, that Chantele didn't remember that Derek was my first pick last time, and she handed him to me here this time. But I'll take it. I'm very happy with my number 1 and 2 guy picks so far. I had to come back strong after what seems to be a bit of a shaky one there on the women's side of things, but it's okay. I'll move over to Drew next, and he will have the next male pick here.
I don't know. Like, there's still so many players that. So there's 2 players right now that are side by side with each other, and it's either do I go with both are in fantastic shape. Do I go
I'm taking
with
the other one? Don't worry.
A known entity of what we saw last season, or someone completely new that's coming onto this season who looks fantastic? It's tough. It's tough. It's a tough go around. You know what? I picked so many people from All-Star Season 1. I'm just gonna keep going that way, and I'm gonna go with Nehemiah. He's all over the trailer. He is in impeccable shape, and I think he has that fire in him to want to win. And he doesn't have Beth here this season calling him tenderoni or getting in his head a little bit. So he was someone I rooted for last season, and then he got taken out right before the finals. I want to see him go very far, and he is prevalent in that trailer, so much so that I feel like he is going to go far. into the game. Look at those guns. My
No,
gosh.
he's in shape. The guy's in
yeah.
shape. I mean, and
So-
listen, I've got a man crush on him as well. I will admit, like it was
I was
very,
surprised that you went
it was
Derek
very, it
over
was very,
Nehemiah.
yeah, it was very, very. I had to use my head and not my heart. You know, I just couldn't go. I couldn't go for my man crush over who I think would definitely pound for pound do better and has a proven track record over years and years of doing this. But I mean, listen, it could go either way. Like even Nehemiah could even go up against someone like a Derek, and you know, I'm sure there's a world where he wins an elimination against them. And again, he's one of the younger guys on the season, 35, great shape. Not afraid to go in, sometimes stupidly, you know, and there's another player that we haven't selected yet that's in that same sort of, in my mind, in that same sort of vein where they would put themselves in harm's way for no reason. But I think that with Nehemiah, they did a lot of work in building him last season. And like I said, I was a massive fan of him. I think that he's one of the few players here that could step into the actual challenge world right now and still do really well. And I think I made a case for him to sort of go back into challenge proper last season. And I know that Chantele and I forgot the other fella's name, wasn't as high on that because I think he's one of those people that can get lost because he's not always been great at the political game, but he did really put an effort in last season, I think, to try and play that game. And it's just the question of how I think he's got the connections from the previous season, but how well ingrained is he? I think he's seeing some eliminations again. I don't think people want to run against him in the final, and I think that they will potentially throw him down there. It just does depend on these seasons being a lot slower. There are fewer eliminations before you get to the end and before they just do mass cuts. So maybe he's lucky. Maybe he only sees eliminations once this season. But I like him. Like, I mean, he was my number 3 pick. So you've taken my 3rd male pick here, and he'll forever be my Tenderoni this season without Beth there. So.
Well, of course, like I knew that I was expecting Drew to take him, but I wasn't surprised. Chris to take him, but obviously wasn't surprised when he went with Derek because he loves his Derek, his little pit bull over there. Nehemiah, though, I think he is a solid pick. You know that he's going to get to at least the halfway point. There's always a chance that he's going to have some sort of makeout session. It seems like he always has some sort of person that he ends up cuddling up to. So you'll get some points there. Most likely, I don't know who it's going to be, but I feel like it's very possible that could happen this round as well. The one thing about Nehemiah is, like, I really like him. I like his personality. I think he's great at challenges. I think that he would be great in a final. For some reason, I don't see the final in him sometimes. Like, I don't see the fire, or like, I know I have to get there, or like the desire. I don't see that full will. And he's a little bit more like, however things happen, I'm okay with however thing goes down. Like he's just a little bit more easygoing. So I don't necessarily see him in the final and see him winning, even though I think that he's completely capable of doing so. So that's why I'm never usually that high on Nehemiah. I just don't know if he has the fire behind him to get to the end and win. But I think that he will do really well and get pretty far into the game no matter what. So solid pick. I love him. I want to see what he has to do this season. I'm excited to see it.
Yeah, 100%. And I think with that, Chantele, we are going back to you here for your second guy pick. Who are you going to roll the dice on here?
I'm assuming the other person that he was deciding between was MJ. So I'm going to take MJ off the board. He is a winner. I can't fully remember him, but I remember liking him. And when I saw him, I'm like, oh my God, he's back. I'm like, yeah, I want to see what he has to do. So not that I remember MJ, not like I remember Landon, like I remember MJ just kind of like, in the periphery. And I'm like, I like this guy and I want to see what he has to do. He's strong. People will be intimidated by him, which is, I think, a factor in these layers, especially in All-Stars, with these people that are coming back that haven't been playing the game that often. They're going to be scared to go down into the arena, the lair, whatever it's going to be called. And I don't think that anybody's going to want to go against him. So I feel as though it's very possible for him to also be someone that evades elimination until you get to the end. And he has the capability of winning one of these things. So he looks in pretty damn good shape. He's a little bit older, but he looks like he's been working out and he's ready to come here and win. So I can't wait to see what MJ has in the tank and see how he fares this season.
Yeah, I mean, MJ for me, he probably would have been a person that I would have had next as well on my list. It was definitely in that next group of 3 players that I would have gone back and forth about. The one thing that stood out for me when I was doing a bit of my research on him is that in the Gauntlet 2 he won, but I think it was a team's thing as well, so it's not necessarily individual. This one's going to be duo or individual, so he's going to have to prove himself. But I think one of the other things that standed out for me was the fact that he was very heavily featured in the promo for this season. So I felt like they wanted us to know about MJ this season coming into it. So I don't know if he wins, don't know if he goes far, but I feel like he's going to have a storyline, which is going to be good for you when it comes to points. And like you said, he does look in pretty good shape. He's got 2 wins and 2 losses in elimination. So a 50% record there. He has seen eliminations before. It's been a while though since he's played. How will he perform? And I think he beat Brad, and in fact, his elimination record will be down here. So Frank got him out. Frank's not a bad opponent. Brad got him out before, and he's beaten Dunbar and Ryan before in eliminations.
Yeah, not the best or the most impressive elimination resume. I will say that I just rewatched pretty much all of his seasons except Gauntlet 2. He was a replacement on his final 2 seasons. He came in as replacements, as a replacement. And what made me pick Nehemiah was he was on last season. Both of these guys are very young, very in shape. Nehemiah last season, like Chantele said, may not have had the fire to win because maybe he was just trying to get his head around the game and trying to figure out where everybody is. I think this season, he knows exactly what he wants to do. He knows a good amount of the players that are in this season. And I feel like he will bring that fire. And I get that from the trailer. Whereas MJ coming in and watching his past seasons pretty recently, it just seemed like when the eliminations weren't going his way, he kind of just lost focus and kind of just let it go. And also Brad was able to beat him in the dual pole dancing elimination in the duel 2. It just felt like he wanted to win, but when it came down to solo matches, if he got into his head or if it just wasn't going his way, he kind of just lost sight of it. So that's what made me feel like, will he have that fire? We haven't seen him in a while. Will he bring it this season? And that's what made me tip into Nehemiah's side.
I see it. I was thinking whoever you didn't take. So
yeah, you read my mind because yeah.
I'm still excited to see what he has to what's his season is going to be like, especially we haven't seen him in a long time. I just don't think that people take it lightly coming back to one of these shows. They know how grueling it is. They know what they're going to be putting their body through. And so being 10 years older and saying yes to the call, I would imagine that he's like, you know what? I'm going to make sure that I look good. And I don't know. Is he friends with Brad? I'm not sure, but I wouldn't be surprised if a phone call happens and be like, hey, let's stick together for both on the season, So I feel like the big guys and the older guys are going to try to stick together and just take out some of these new kids to them,
Yeah. Well, you've got the next female pick here.
Who do I have left? Hold on. Let's get back to my list here. Sorry, I forgot that I was next to
there's absolutely no pressure on me at this point from the female pick side of things because I just feel like I can do no wrong. My next one's going to be up.
Anybody would be better, to be fair. I think I'm going to go with a hothead. She might be tameable without having people that she doesn't get along with. So Beth is not on this season, so she won't have that animosity there. I think I'm going to give her a shot because she tried to give Beth a shot in the duel and it was a really weak punch. And I want to see if she's still got some punch left in her. So I want to see Tina. I want to see if Tina can get to another final. I want to see if she can win this time around. Ballsy, she doesn't care. She says what she wants. She used to be pretty athletic. She was teamed up with Kenny and they did really well in a season. So I want to see what Tina has to say. I'm excited to see her make her reappearance to the challenge. It has been 15 years? Give it to me, Tina.
Wow.
Let me see it.
Is that the longest No, I guess Tech was the longest than the previous
I
season.
mean,
He
I'm
was
just
the
guessing. I don't know if that was the actual amount of years, but it's been a while.
yeah. Tina was the person I was going to pick. So she was the other person I was looking at. And again, it was based off stats. I did notice that she's not in the same shape she was back then. But again, noticed she had been into finals. Noticed that, I did notice that she was with Kenny and Fresh Meat, which I know Kenny was pretty good. So I didn't know how much of it was her keeping up with Kenny or Kenny sort of dragging her to the end in that season. So that made me in two minds because I haven't seen it yet, which I
But
promise
Kenny was
everybody
the
that's
fresh
listening.
meat, so Kenny would have been
I was
listening
Kenny.
to her, right?
All
Tina
right.
was the
Yeah.
vet that was like dictating how they could do it.
Does
I
Kenny
mean,
listen
yeah.
to anyone?
Yeah,
they had
that's
some
right.
arguments. They definitely both people that will not hold their tongue for sure.
Oh, that would be an
But
entertaining season to watch then for sure. I'll
Fresh
have to
Meat
go
One's
back and watch
very
Fresh Meat.
good. That's where I usually get people to
Yeah.
start. Fresh Meat One.
Yeah, just for some other reason, I decided to start a Fresh Meat too. I think it was because
It's great.
from where I was watching, it was the
Barbara,
only.
yeah,
It was the only.
I know.
Exactly, but it was the only season. I think it was only up until Fresh Meat 2 that I could watch over in New Zealand at that time.
Yeah.
But now I can watch all of it. So they've opened it up. So it's not just that I didn't want to go back and watch all of it. It's just I went back as far as I possibly could when I started falling in love with the show. But listen, I think she could go either way here. I did note that she's got a bachelor's degree in psychology, which I thought was quite interesting. So maybe she could psychoanalyze a few people out there, play a bit of mind games and things like that. I do think she's probably going to be. I feel like she was in the promo a few times as well. So I do think she's going to get some screen time this season. So I think it's a pretty good pick.
Drew, is she friends with Jody? I can't remember their relationship.
The farthest back I can go is Inferno 2, when she called out Veronica to go into the Inferno, and the whole like badasses team was like infuriated with Jody, and Tina was like up there berating Jody for picking Veronica. So I'm sure that they've gotten past that, and if they were going to do anything, that they're gonna bury the hatchet and try to get far into the season. But there is points where Tina is banging pots and pans together, and she's very upset with somebody. So there's an argument right there. That'll get you some points.
I mean, she's fire all the time. So like
She beat
she knows how to make TV. That's what I love about the people from the past is like they are entertaining people. That's why I'm enjoying All Stars. Even just doing this, I'm like, what is this person gonna do? Let me see this concoction of people. Like it's just gonna be so messy and silly and fights and maybe makeouts and like I don't know, just
I'm going to take a stab at myself here, but they're not Corey. They're not an athlete that plays the game and that trains but doesn't understand all of the things that make good TV or the social politicking and all that kind of stuff, which I know we'll get into in the next one. But, they chose people with personalities first and then the challenge abilities second. I guess when now it's changed the other way around, it's physical athlete ability first, and then if you've got somewhat of a personality, we'll take that as well, and that's a bonus, which is kind of flipped on its head. I do want to say that Tina has got a pretty impressive elimination record here with 3 wins and 1 loss. I know it's been a while since she's competed, and she did beat Robin in a one-on-one elimination as well, and I know Robin's pretty decent as well. So yeah,
I mean, Robin just is a sketch in her head, but she definitely is a fighter. But like, I don't know. I don't think Robin's that tough.
All right. Drew, anything else you wanted to add on this pick? Or if not, I believe you're the next person with a female pick here.
No, we can go to the next person and pick, which is me. So I have 2 players sitting side by side in between Tina and Casey, and then the top 5 picks above. I think I'm going to go different with, instead of my 6th pick, I'm going to go with Ayana from Road Rules Semester at Sea. She's done 3 seasons, the Extreme Challenge, Battle of the Sexes, Battle of the Sexes 2. She never made it to a final, but she's coming in and she's featured on the trailer. I'm excited to see what she can do on the season. I remember watching Road Rules Semester at Sea pretty recently, like some of the episodes. She's smart. She is ready to come in and compete. She hasn't been in the challenge arena in a while, but I just get this vibe from her that she is ready and willing to knock anybody out for this money and to show that she is a strong competitor. And I'm excited to see her on the show. I just wish that Yes was back on this season and Veronica and just have like a semester at sea reunion.
Isn't that next
going
season?
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah, no, I really liked Ayana. I recently watched the first 3 episodes of Semester Season. I'm like, oh my gosh, I remember watching this when I was younger and like just being like, I want to be on Road World so badly. And I literally made an application, even though I was in Canada. I made an application. I might have told you guys this before, but I made a lunchbox that had like, it was like a travel box and it had like all the places that I'd want to go on and road rules. And like I sent videos of me like doing all these things and I sent it, never heard anything. But like it was one of the seasons that inspired me because I was like, oh my God, you get to travel to different places and meet different people from around the world. And so going back and watching her on the season, I remember her, wanting to leave because of her mom. And then with who was her friend's name? Talking about how she like admires her and how she has so much wisdom. I feel like she's going to bring that wisdom, that mothering kind of figure to the house or whatever kind of environment that they're in. And people are just not going to want to do her dirty. They're just going to be like, no, I don't want to throw her in. No. Like, I just don't think that people are going to want to try to get her out because they like her presence, her company, and what her wisdom that she might offer to the game. So I think that she's going to stick around for a while, and I think that she's pretty badass. Like, I think that she's still going to be pretty tough, and so yeah, I can see her getting to the end for sure. So I want to see it. Great tip.
I really can't add much on her. I don't know her at all. I saw a few clips on YouTube that I try to go down the rabbit hole of like watching highlights of different players, and I realized I don't have enough time to watch all of these highlights before we do this. But everything that I saw of her was her getting in confrontations. So I was like, yeah, she'll be in confrontations. She'll get some screen time. But listen, I hope she does well. I really hope she comes back. And I did notice that she, I sort of noticed Yes was in some of those highlights as well. So I was like, oh, okay, that's probably the connection. That's probably how they got on the show, is the fact that, Yes just won and, he might have spoken to her or she might have spoken to him. And that's how they got the connection. And I'm loving the fact that they're getting these really old school players to come back and do the show. So I hope she does well this season. But for me, she's like going to be like a new player this season that I'm just going to observe basically at this point. And to be honest with you, I don't have much on a lot of the females that are left still in the game at this point. And coming back to me now, I've got to make a decision on who is going to be the next female pick here for me. And to be honest, I don't like. I've got 4 players left here at this point. Yeah, I don't like. Listen, I'm gonna go in the direction that I didn't think I was gonna go coming into this podcast at all, and I am gonna go for someone I actually know. I'm gonna go for Jasmine. I know she's probably not gonna win the whole show. I know she's gonna struggle in eliminations, but she does have some connections with Janae and Derek Chavez on this season, so at least she's got some people that may have her back or might want to do some sort of strategizing with her. I do think she, from memory, from what I can remember watching her in the seasons that she played, she had really good confessionals as well, or she was always featured, probably because she was a part of the drama. But so there's a good point. There's a good chance I could get some points from that side of things. Elimination record of 1 win, 5 losses, not the greatest here. But I mean, we're kind of getting to the pointy end here now of the picks. And she is someone that I remember. So like I said, if I've watched some of the early seasons that she's been in and I can remember her, that's something, it's more that I can say for some others, which we'll get into later on. That's it for me. You guys have anything to add to this?
I mean, obviously, like familiarity, we've seen Jasmine pretty recently. Or maybe did I just hear that she just got divorced as well? But she was at least married when this cast came out. And I feel like she has some.
There you go, Neymar.
Well. Maybe. No, I don't think that they were vibing, but maybe. I don't know. She does have like the link with Janae and Derek, as we've already mentioned. She knows the game and like the politicking side of it. And so I think that that's going to be to her favor. And she knows that the best way to get to the end and have the potential of winning is by not going down there. So I can see her getting an alliance together and having people that she's working with and not being necessarily the one that gets thrown down there. The problem is, though, she's quite small. So if she doesn't have the power, people might throw her in there with the thoughts that they could take her out and beat her. So as you said already, we're kind of getting to slim pickings here. She's just a little bit small. I don't remember her win record, but I don't remember her winning very often. And so she'll have some good for confessionals. I'm sure she's going to pop off and have a fight. So you'll get some points for sure with Jasmine.
Yeah, it was between Jasmine and Ayana for the last pick, and I was going to pick Jasmine solely based because she is just golden. Like, when you talk about personality, she has the biggest personality, I think, out of everybody in this cast. I mean, she will make out with people. Yes, I would say she's over Tech. Her confessionals are golden. They're amazing. She has the best one-liners. She will fight with anybody. She will make out when she wants to. I mean, she is queen of the domain. And the only thing is worrisome is her going into an elimination. I mean, we talked about Kendall's size and stature being not intimidating within the challenge universe. I can easily see someone being like, I'm going into the elimination. I want Jasmine. And if they're not being able to pick who they can go up against, and if they have friends in the power groups that are able to choose for somebody and they're looking out for them, I can easily see them saying, hey, I want to go up against Jasmine, and I feel like I can win against her. And maybe Jasmine can eke out some few elimination wins, maybe 1 or 2. But if she keeps on getting thrown in, I don't see her making it very far. But I'm happy to see her on the season. I just love her confessionals. I just remember seeing her leave Free Agents and dropping it like it's hot while walking out. And I was just like, oh, I can't wait to see her on the next seasons. And then she never came back. And I was like, oh, such a missed opportunity. So I'm happy that she's back.
All right, so I'm going to go into the next guy pick here, and I am going to stick to familiarity for myself here on this one. I've got to go for a safer choice this time. Like, I've gone for the big personalities, but I'm going to go back and take Kohara off this one here, which is the safer choice here because I do think he's coming into this season looking really in shape. He could be, like, for me, he was never, I know he won 3 out of 4 eliminations. From what I remember in the seasons that he played in, he was always a bit of a vanilla personality for me. The nice guy, bit of a vanilla personality, not necessarily the biggest edit around him. But I do feel like maybe he's kept a certain level of fitness and a certain level of competitiveness coming into this season, where others might have gone backwards as they've gotten older. I feel like he stayed in shape. He stayed pretty sharp when it comes to those things. So I remember seeing him in Battle of the Bloodlines and Free Agents, the 2 seasons that I sort of have a history of that he was in. And like I said, I mean, I just feel like with who's left on the board, I feel like he's the best probably athlete that is still on the board out of those ones that are left. So yeah, I had a feeling that I might be upsetting Chantele, but I upsetted Drew picking that one.
I know you upset me. He was my next pick. I was like, if I don't look
I know
at the
Chantele
screen, maybe.
So Drew, why were you so upset? Because I got the biggest reaction out of you picking him.
I was really hoping that you were going to go with Laterian, talking about a known quantity of a player, and I was like, oh, maybe he's not talking about Kahutta. Maybe he is talking about Laterian, and then you picked Kahutta. Yeah, he was going to be my next pick if he got back to me. I like Kahutta. He is the nice guy, which is way different. Like when you watch The Island, like he's the only nice guy on that season. So it was a nice breath of fresh air when he was trying to be helpful to everybody. He gave Wes his first elimination loss in his challenge career. So, I mean, he has that fight. He has that heart. And as long as he's not going against Leroy and balls in, I think he could do well in an elimination.
Yeah, he's good at some stuff. Like it was him that was great at that fire escape one, right? Is that him as well?
Yeah.
I know obviously Leroy's good at that. But anyways, he's very well-rounded and he's good. The only thing that I worry about Kahutta, like he was my next pick as well, is that because he's not the tallest of guys, that sometimes people will just like underestimate him and throw him in and maybe throw him in often. And he's not, he might put up a fuss, but it's not like a scary fuss. It's not an intimidating fuss. So I'm worried that he might get thrown in a lot. And no matter what, if you go down, you're going to have an opportunity to go home. So that scares me about him. But I think that he's a great person, great personality. So happy to see him here again. I would have loved it if Miss Kellyanne was on the season again, just to see what would maybe
Yeah.
not happen, or just like to see how
Yeah.
they interact. But
That'd be great.
I definitely want to see what he has to do. I think that this is a better suited environment for him than like the regular challenge season. So I'm here for Kahada. And yeah, it's great pick.
Happy. Like, I feel like I've done okay with the men so far. Like, I feel like I've done okay with those picks. Yeah, I kind of knew coming into this one that that's maybe the way it was going to go. I didn't realize I was going to get a booby trap there so early on. But we'll move back to Drew here with the next male pick. Drew, which way are you going here with the existing name that are still on the board?
All right, we're in phase 3, level 3, going down to the basement level. Not saying that these players aren't good, but these are toss-up players where they're all wild cards. I'm going to have to go with a known quantity, and I'm going with all the season 1 players, apparently, and I'm going to go with Tech. I need somebody that's going to be a force to be reckoned with in the confessionals, and if there is like an all-star 1 alliance going on, he can go far into the game, I think. Maybe him and Nehemiah, like, patch things up with each other after downing those peppers in that one elimination, and they have this, like, bond with each other and want to see each other go very far into the game, so I'm going to go with Tech.
Tech surprised me even in that elimination. He wasn't that far behind for someone that didn't look that in shape to me. Like, coming back and being in his, I don't want to shade him, but, being in his mid-40s, I guess he's still in pretty good shape in that sense. But, this guy came back from having not played any challenge. I think he did one challenge season before coming back for the Challenge All-Stars. And,
like
he did
2000,
really,
I think it was. Like,
Challenge 2000, it's right there on the screen. So, that's crazy. 21 years, it's probably the longest hiatus that anyone has taken from reality TV and then come back and sort of thrown themselves back out there in the arena. He is quite accomplished, right? He's done some movie stuff beforehand as well. So I like him. Like, I'm a massive Tech fan, and if I wanted to go for confessionals and things like that, I think he would be golden. The only worry I've got for Tech is, Chantele uses this quite a lot, but is his heart in it to win it? Does he really want to go all the way? And I feel like Tech is there for a good time, not a long time. It's his philosophy when it comes to playing on. And listen, I'm going off one season that I've seen him play, but that's definitely was his philosophy last season. Like, I felt like he made himself an unnecessary target there early on. Trying to antagonize Nehemiah to go down. He was probably always going to go down against Nehemiah. I think Nehemiah would have been stupid not to pick him in that spot. But again, like I said, is he really in it to win it? I don't know what Tech shows up for this season. But listen, we are at the bottom right now. So with the pickings that you've got less, I think you did pretty well here.
Yeah, I don't need to win. I need to get some confessionals.
Points.
That's what I'm looking for.
Yeah. He's going to be a confessional king. Absolutely. If any of these players watched the last season, they can see that he does have some weaknesses, and he is beatable in some of these eliminations. So, I've been talking a lot this podcast about people being like the scare factor, the people being intimidating, and he doesn't really have that, but he does have that people enjoy his company, enjoy being around him. So if he links up with the season 1 players and kind of forms like some sort of alliance with them and then just take out all the newbies, then maybe he could be safe for a little while. But I am worried that because he's thin, he's a little bit older, he didn't get to the final last season, that people might think he's an easy beat and throw him down. So I love Tech. He's going to get you some points. Absolutely. I'm not sure if he's winning this season, and I agree with you, Chris. He's probably, there for a good time, not a long time, but a points ridden time for sure.
Yeah, for sure. I still think very good pick for where you got him here. We're going to go now to you here, Chantele, with the next male pick. And I'm trying to do the numbers here. If we go next male pick, we're going to have 3 males still left on the board. So I guess there's enough. We've got 3 women. So yeah, it might just work out perfectly here, right? Yeah, sweet.
Yeah.
Okay, so we're not going to run out of numbers. That's good.
So
all right, so you're next.
Yeah, I'm just going to go for Letarian. He's a big guy. He has an idea of what this is going to be all about. He's not great at the politics of it, and I don't like for the game like the game view of it all, like how he wants you to go up against, like he doesn't do politics at all. he wants the challengers to go against challengers. He wants, to be on honor and, be a man. And he has kind of all these ideologies that he wants to abide by, which it doesn't necessarily bode well for playing these types of games. So I'm worried that he's going to get himself into kind of a sticky situation where someone is going to either throw him down or he's going to lose, or it's going to say like, no, I'll take you out with my bare hands, and then he'll go home and lose. So I'm worried that he won't play the game and like just allow himself to get to the end and give himself the opportunity to win. But I do think he's pretty strong and that he is capable of beating some people. And maybe his bigness, he might be intimidating some people. So we can hope that maybe he'll stick around for a little while. I wish that he had I've just forgotten her name. What's her name? Tell me her name.
Anissa?
Anissa, to kind of like maybe whisper him a little bit, you know what I mean? And be like, no, just get your head in the game. Like, like, because they just started canoodling at the time when he went home. I think having her there would have been maybe a way for him to learn a little bit more about the politicking side of it all. But also, though, maybe he talked to her about, hey, I'm going to go back. Like, can you give me some advice? So maybe he did some homework and he's going to come back and he's going to have a new perspective on how to play the game. So I'm taking a risk with him because he doesn't play like a challenge winner, but he plays like a competitor. So I'm hoping that his competitive energy will get him at least to the final to give it a shot.
My worry, so two worries for Liturian, and I think if I didn't see I had him a lot higher on my original list, but then I watched the promo and he was on a stretcher, and I was like, don't know what's going to happen there in the promo. So
points. No.
So yeah, so you might have stepped on a booby trap here as well, and I'm happy that I did see that because I had him as high as my number 6 pick prior to seeing that, and I agree with all the things that you said in regards to him. I feel like the reason he threw himself on a grenade last season was he really wanted to make a statement coming back to the show. I felt like he was playing to get back on the show again if there was another All-Star season with what he did. I felt maybe he didn't think at that level, but he does remind me of my dad quite a lot, old school honor, we got to be men about this kind of thing. He's from that generation. And I do feel like not having, and I don't remember if it's Silas or Cyrus, whoever's friend was that was on there last season with him is not there this season, and he doesn't have Mark Long there. That is kind of people that he gravitated to last season, that were that older crew of challengers that had a different level of respect for each other. I am worried about where does he go this season? Who's going to be his go-to people that are going to look out for him this season? It might be a Darrell, maybe, but who else? Yeah. Yeah, so that's my worry for him, and the fact that he did, show up in a stretcher on that promo. So I think that's probably why Drew has kept away from him as well up until this point.
That was definitely in my mind from the trailer. I do think that Liturian can get you some points with maybe winning a daily. He did win the mini final run in All-Star Season 1. My real worry was him throwing himself into eliminations. And the more you go in, the more chances you can get taken out of this game. And you can get maybe 1 or 2 elimination wins. But if he throws himself in, or he tells everybody that he's okay to go in, and so the power couple, or however the power is, how you get thrown into eliminations this season, are like, okay, well, we can just throw him in and he won't worry. Like, we won't worry about it. And we'll just keep throwing him in because he wants to go in. That freaked me out. So when taking a look at who is left, I thought Tech could possibly get me a few more points than hoping that Liturian either wins a daily challenge with how stacked some of this cast looks, or banking on him winning multiple eliminations. Because there's just no way in my mind that he only goes into 1 elimination this season. And then, yes, him being taken off in a stretcher at one point. Not saying that is going to be a for sure medical DQ, but they showed it for a reason. So it could be that he gets taken out.
All right, Chantele, you're next here, leading us in with the last 3 females that are left on the board. And who are you going to go for here with the ladies that are left in the game?
Well, she's a little bit older, and I don't particularly remember her season because the last time I saw it literally was when it was on the air or recorded on a VHS tape. So I don't fully remember her, but I am going to go with the fact that she has done one challenge and she got to the final. And that she's a road rules person. I was always at the beginning of the challenge, I was always like, ew, the real world people, they're so soft. Like, the road rules people are like, those are my jam. So the fact that what she was enticed by in this whole MTV universe was road rules over the real world, it bodes well for me to want to pick her as someone that's not necessarily lazy, that likes maybe competition or the game of it all. And the other two women that are left are both from real world seasons, and so they were always really soft. So I'm going to go with Sophia for my final girl pick. I'm not sure how well she's going to do. She's, I believe, the oldest woman on this cast this season, but I'm hoping that she has a lot of bark. I feel like she has, the energy to do well and compete, and I want to see what she's got left in her. And I'll probably go back and watch her season, because if I can find it, because I want to be reminded of her and her personality. But fingers crossed that she does well, and that going team road rules versus real world will come out victorious.
I'm just going to say I'm very happy that you picked her, because I just looked at my notes, and for some other reason, I did not have her on my notes. She was the only person I missed out on, so I wouldn't even have known how to sell her as a pick here. I don't know how that happened, but just happy that I don't have to talk to her. So from what I can see, she's played in one season, Battle of the Sexes 2, and made a final there, which is pretty impressive. 3 daily wins. Drew, what do you have for us here on Sophia?
One season she was on the women's side. The women's team on both Battle of the Sexes seasons weren't the strongest when it came to competition, but she was able to make it to a final. Battle of the Sexes and Battle of the Sexes 2 had voting systems, so her getting very far into the game and getting to a finals shows me that she has a very strong social game, that she could possibly make it far and do well in these challenges, because I don't think her team would keep her if, one, they couldn't vibe with her, and two, she wasn't doing well in daily challenges. So I think she is a great pick, and the final round of the women's picks are going exactly as I have it in my notes. So the first 5 picks went the same way, and then the last 3 picks will go the same way. So I'm kind of proud of myself for how I put this list together.
All right, well, we're back to you now here with the second last female pick on the board. Who are you going to leave me with as the goose egg, and who are you going to have here as the second last female pick?
So I did not expect me to be picking this person, but I'm going to be picking Melinda. Having the highest of hopes for her to win an elimination this season, since she's 0-4 in her challenge career, but maybe she can sneak out a win, get her first elimination win in challenge history. I'm picking Melinda because of her possible connections within this season. She's done multiple seasons of the challenge with multiple players that are on this season. So to me, I'm banking on that she has some connections, and maybe if this is like maybe a free agents or pairs, she can work well with players on the season. And she also has Nehemiah here, who I have already picked. So I have a team real world Austin connection going on here. So there is a point in the in the trailer that it looks like she is in an elimination, and I'm going to be holding my breath through that whole episode.
Did you tell who she was against, or no?
No, I do not know who she was against, but I will say that she was standing next to Nehemiah at some point. So it's like nerve-wrack city looking at my list that I just forgot about that. So now
it's all or nothing.
Kind of nervous. Oh boy.
It's really interesting. She doesn't look like herself in this photo. Every time I see the photo, I'm like, who is that? I'm like, oh, it's Melinda. And like, she doesn't look like that at all.
She looks fit.
Well, she looks more fit, but face-wise, though, it just doesn't. I don't recognize her here. But one thing I like about Melinda is that she's good energy, good vibes. People like her. I mean, maybe they didn't like her and Danny together, and then Wes and what was his girlfriend, Johanna. Like that foursome, people really hated, especially on Fresh Meat. But like, I do think that she is a calming presence, like she was able to tame Danny a little bit and like just be like, it's okay, it's so good. So hopefully that energy will bode well for her. I don't even know what I'm talking about because she's just not a challenger. I really like her. I'm happy to see that she has an opportunity to come back. I remember she has cute dimples. Yeah, I mean, go Melinda.
I got absolutely nothing on this. Like, I mean, it is the last two picks. I think you guys know more about this person than I do. And all I can say is she does look fit and does look like she's in shape. It's the only reason I didn't
really,
go.
really skinny, so she does look more fit than she used to be.
Oh, well, it's a positive. You never know, and I hope even though they're not on my team, if she's down there with Nehemiah, I don't want Nehemiah to lose, even though he's not on my team. So let's hope that they can pull it off if it does come down to that.
Like
But
Chantele said, it was mainly because of Real World Austin and their threats within the season. Fresh Meat, there was a ton of Real World Austin because they were the newest season, and then Battle of the Seasons, 2002, the Rookie Revolution just wanted to take out all the vets, and it was Team Austin that had all the vets on their team, and they were taking out episode 1 and then episode 2, basically, really early on. So yeah, it was just so maybe she can go farther.
And she's had, I believe she's had children now too, so that usually brings like another maturity. Animal out inside women. So we'll see.
Animal, really?
Well, I would say I'm playing for my kids. Like I got to do this for my family. Like having a little more.
And as long as Danny's not on here. Gosh, I dislike Danny so
I felt
much
like
after rewatching the seasons.
I felt like it did the opposite to Parvati in like Survivor. When she came back and she had a kid, she was a little bit more chilled, more mellow. Like I didn't see that same fire.
I think with Poverty, she was also married, and the last time that she was on the show, she was single and she was able to use her flirting skills to also help her advance. So I think it was more so that she wasn't able to use all of her skills in the game. So yeah, I figured that might have hindered her a little bit.
All right, guys. So we've got my last pick here as Leah. Give me a little bit of an insight on Leah, because obviously I had nothing coming into this. What can I expect here from our last pick? Obviously, you guys left her out for a reason.
Well, she spent the season in Paris with CT, so there's that.
Do you think CT was on the phone with her, giving us some inside tips on how to play the game? Do you think they still talk?
I don't think they still talk because
CT doesn't know. CT's lost the number.
CT, I just saw that Liliana had like a post on her Instagram being like, if he's not your man, like don't touch him, don't look at him, don't call him, like he's mine. Like, and I was like, oh my God. So he's really under her thumb here, and you can't imagine him wanting to set her off. So I don't think that he is going to be having any conversations with any women of his past, because his wife doesn't even like him being on the challenge at all. So I'd say no to that. I don't have any idea of what she's going to be like as a competitor, and that's pretty much why I left her off. And she's going to be a little bit older, and she's from the real world, so I don't know if she's going to have any competitive energy. And if I were playing this game with her, I'd be like, I don't know her. She looks weak. Let's send her in. So I feel like she's going to be sent in first round.
Yeah, her only challenge season was season 8, the Inferno, and she is in one of the longest eliminations in challenge history, and she faced off against Kendall in the brick by brick elimination where they had to transfer bricks from one platform to another for 4.5 hours. And throughout that time, CT was yelling at her to just give up and quit because she wasn't a strong competitor whatsoever. So there was no love there, and there was a lot of fighting going on in that one elimination. Like the elimination wasn't even the highlight of the thing. It was just everybody fighting with everybody. Katie was yelling at Veronica, Coral was yelling at Veronica and Katie, and it was just a mess. She is a complete wild card, and I don't know what to expect.
Did you read my notes?
Yeah,
I put on the complete wild card. No idea.
Pretty much.
All right, well, we're going into the last 3 men here on the board, and I'm going to pick someone else that I didn't think I was going to pick either, but I don't really know much about the other two, so I kind of have to go for Derek here in this spot. And with Derek, the reason that I say he's a bit of a wild card for me is because I actually watched the seasons that he played in, and I cannot remember him. Like, I watched Cutthroat, I watched Battleless Seasons, I watched Rivals 2, and for some other reasons I don't remember him. He's got one win, 3 losses. The thing that kind of drives me towards picking him here in this spot is because he's got people here that he knows in Jasmine and Janae. So maybe he's got some real world connections that will work with him here in this season, politically at least. He is only 33, so he's in the younger side. He does have, from what I could see, experience as being a track athlete, baseball, basketball, and also volleyball. So he is somewhat athletic, even though it doesn't show in his performance and in his record than what I've seen there. But I just know less about the other two guys than what I do know about Derek at this point. So that's why I am going in this direction.
Yeah, I mean, I like Derek. As you already mentioned, he has friends in Janae and Jasmine here, and I believe that they've even played seasons together before. So I think that bodes well. I think that he was a secret kind of assassin, being like, oh, they don't know that like I'm actually going to be good at this, or I'm going to be good at something, like as you mentioned. So, there's possible that he will go down and there'll be something that plays to some of his strengths. But I can see him being thrown down a lot. And this is kind of what we've been saying for these last few players, is that like, if you're being thrown down a lot, one of these times you're not going to come back in. And I just feel like that's going to be his storyline for the season, is that he's just going to be thrown in. Maybe he'll win the first one, but will he win the second and the third and the fourth? I don't know. So yeah, I don't know if I can see him winning, but I'm curious to see how he fits into the dynamic of the season.
I don't know. Like, next, his connections are going to be the best. His connections are the best thing about his game coming into this season is his connections. But other than that, I'm kind of just like up in the air with him.
That's fair. So who do you have more faith in here?
Who are you leaving for me? That's what I want to know. Who do you think that I have to get? That's what I want to know, Drew.
All right, I'm going real risky here. I'm going to go Hail Mary play, and I'm going to go with Steve. He only did one season, the Gauntlet. It wasn't very impressive when you take a look at it, but when rewatching Gauntlet, which I just rewatched that season not too long ago, he talked about how he loves puzzles. He helped his team win a puzzle, and taking a look at how big he is, I'm thinking that he can be this year's Laterian, that he comes in wanting to prove himself, possibly do better in puzzles than everybody else, maybe steal a daily win. If he goes into an elimination, I think he stacks up well against some of the other players. If he's not going to go up against like some of these heavy hitters that are on the cast, I think maybe he could eke out a few elimination wins, maybe 2 on the season. And I don't know, he has a good beard. I think that he is such a wild card, but taking a look at him and hearing how well he likes puzzles, I just think he is more of a well-rounded player than possibly Ryan, who we know the sort of player that he can be. I think maybe Ryan will get more confessionals, but I think that if Steve can make it farther into the game, maybe he'll have a better storyline and maybe have some confessionals and we can get to know him a little bit more. I do see him in some of the trailer scenes a bit. So I do think he makes it into at least maybe episode 3 or 4, hopefully, and maybe past that. But I'm banking on him being a Laterian type of player from season 1 and doing well in dailies and maybe getting a few elimination wins.
I was just going to say that you've added way more than what I could have been able to dig up on him from my end. But I wonder how happy Katie Cooley's husband is about him being on this season, because I did read that there was some flirtation between the two of them in one of the previous seasons. That's the only bit that wasn't mentioned here. So having them both there on the same season could be fun to watch.
Oh, I don't remember that. I'm curious just to see if there's any flirting, because flirting's allowed. I don't remember him as another person, so I'm gonna go back and watch his season if I can find it. I was hoping that you would have gone with who you knew and you would have left me with him, because I feel like he is more likely to win more eliminations than Ryan is. So I'm jealous. I wish that you had gone the other way.
If it's any consolation, it was between him and Derek for me in the previous one as well. I was thinking about going for the blue chip stock, so I think there was no world here that you would have gotten him. Like he was the other person on my mind as well.
Yeah. So I mean, I can't wait to see what he brings to the table this season. I'm going to go back and watch his previous season just so I can be reminded of his vibe and like what he's like. Like you, Drew, I love people that can do a puzzle, so I'm happy that he is puzzle happy. And so hopefully he's going to be like a secret weapon here, where he's able to like use these puzzle skills to get him far into the game. So yeah, I think he's a better pick than Ryan, who I get to have. One thing that I like about Ryan is that he doesn't really give up. Like he's always trying to advance himself, get himself further in the game. Like he wants to be there. But I guess because he came in fresh meat, I find that some of the fresh meat people don't have the same kind of amount of like grit, I find, as even like the real world player or the road rules player. Like back then I was always like, whatever, fresh meat people, like they're just civilians come into play. Now I know that we got Cara Maria, I know we got Laurel, I know we got Kenny, I know we got Evan. Like I know we've gotten some big, like great players out of these fresh meat seasons, but he isn't really one of those for me. And I'm happy that he's had a lot of experience. I'm happy that he wants to be there. He's somebody that has a bit of an ego, so I think that he's going to want to do well. So maybe, with the fact that there's another LGBTQ person on the season in Tyler, maybe they will pair up. If I remember correctly, do they have a little flirt mance one season, or am I mistaking him with somebody else?
Shane, was it?
Tyler actually liked Ryan, even though he wasn't his type. But when he went to say, I have feelings for you, Ryan shut him down.
Oh, well, maybe this is an opportunity for Ryan to be like, well, remember that time when, and then maybe open some doors or something. But anyways, it will be nice to see if they decide to work together and see if they can be kind of a force in this game in a way that we haven't seen before. So I am going to look at this as a positive, being gifted Ryan, that he's going to be the confessional king, and he is going to get me elimination points, and he's going to win dailies, and you guys are going to be all so mad that you just gave him to me. So put the positive
there you go. Drew, anything you want to add there on Ryan? Nothing?
No.
Right,
picking Steve over him should have been enough.
Yeah, no, fair enough. I've got nothing to add either. This has been fun to put all of I guess these people in our teams. This is the final collection of players here. We will basically put this on Instagram. I'll share this with you, Drew and Chantele, as well, so you guys have got a copy of this for yourselves as well. And then I look forward to talking about this after the first episode, when we start getting into the points of it, because I do think that it's going to make this draft the most exciting one that we've had so far, because it is not just about outright winning the season. And yeah, I don't know where this is going to go, but I'm looking forward to it, because for me, I kind of look at the All-Stars 2 season as also a bit of a newbie season, because I don't know some of these old players, so I'm getting to know them for the first time, and I'm really excited to see where this season is going to take us. I am sort of mindful we have got a limited time before we've got to jump back on in 15 minutes from now to do another podcast, so I'm going to close it off here, but you guys will hear plenty more from us in future podcasts. Please look out at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time each week, where we will be talking about the All-Stars 2 after we cover the challenge Spies, Lies, and Allies episode. It will be all in one, so you might miss it if you look at the title. I still have to figure out how we're going to put it in the title, but it's going to be one long podcast talking about both of them, and I am looking forward to that. So we will be back 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. See you then, guys. Bye.
Bye.